He didn't hiss. He didn't scratch. He didn't try to escape. He just sat there, closed his eyes, and melted. And honestly, by the end of this, I wasn't even sure which one of us enjoyed it more. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Because before we reached that moment, that almost unbelievable moment, where this cat was basically asking me to keep going, there was a whole journey. And I almost gave up 3 times before we even started. Let me take you back to the beginning. His name is Mochi. He's a 3-year-old Scottish, fold with the face of a disappointed grandfather and the energy of a throw pillow. When I first got him, everyone warned me. Cats hate grooming. He'll draw blood. Good luck with that. And for the first year and a half, they were right. Mochi wanted absolutely nothing to do with a brush, nail clippers, or anything that made an unfamiliar sound. He'd vanish the moment I opened the grooming kit. I'd spend 20 minutes trying to find him, only to discover he'd somehow wedged himself behind the washing machine. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I gave up. For months. But here's the thing nobody tells you about a cat like Mochi, a long-haired, indoor-only cat who doesn't self-groom as efficiently as short hairs. The mats come, slowly, quietly, and then all at once. I noticed a small tangle near his shoulder one afternoon. I tried to work it out gently with my fingers. He gave me a look. Not a hiss. Not a swipe. Just a look that said, "Don't." So I stopped. 2 weeks later, the mat was the size of a golf ball, and he was clearly uncomfortable. He'd flinch when I touched that spot. He stopped sleeping on his left side. This wasn't aesthetic anymore. This was affecting his quality of life. And that's when I made a decision that changed everything between us. I started over. Completely. Not with the grooming, with the trust. See, most people approach grooming like it's a task to complete. You grab the cat, you do the thing, you survive it. But what I learned, after a lot of research and honestly a lot of failure, is that for a cat, grooming isn't just physical. It's deeply psychological. It's about control, about safety, about whether they believe you're a threat or an ally. And Mochi had decided, somewhere along the way, that grooming meant loss of control. So I had to unteach that. For 2 weeks, I didn't groom him at all. I just touched him. Every single day, I'd sit near him and run my hands over the exact places. A grooming session would cover his paws, the back of his neck, behind his ears, under his chin. No tools, no agenda, just touch. At first he'd tense up and walk away. I let him. I never chased. I never forced. I just tried again the next day. By the end of week 1, he stopped walking away. By the end of week 2, he was leaning into my hand. That was the moment I knew we had a chance. The first real grooming session was deliberately small. I introduced the brush by just setting it on the floor near him. Let him sniff it, knock it over, ignore it. Then I held it in my hand while I pet him, so he could feel the difference in texture without it being used on him yet. And then, just once, just a single stroke down his back, I brushed him. He froze. I stopped. I gave him a treat. That was the entire session. 30 seconds. Done. I did that every day for a week. 1 stroke. Treat. Done. And slowly, he stopped freezing. The mat was still there, sitting like a challenge on his shoulder. I knew I couldn't rush it. A bad experience at this stage would undo everything. So on day 10 of our new routine, when he was relaxed, when he'd already had his 1 brushstroke moment and his treat, I tried something different. I used a detangling spray, just a light mist near the mat, and with a dematting comb, I worked at the very outer edge, not the core of it, just the edges, for maybe 45 seconds. He turned and looked at me, not a warning look, more like a "what are you doing back there" look. I talked to him the entire time. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I've come to believe that the tone and rhythm of a voice does something real for a nervous animal. Not the words. Obviously he doesn't know what I'm saying, but the cadence. Calm, steady, unhurried. It signals that there's no emergency. And somehow, Mochi seemed to agree, because he turned back around and went still again. I got the edges of that mat loose that day. The core took 3 more sessions. 3 days of gentle, patient, outer edge first work. And when it finally came free, when I held that ridiculous clump of fur in my hand and looked down at Mochi sitting there completely unbothered, looking out the window like nothing had happened, I felt something I genuinely didn't expect to feel. Pride. Real, actual pride. But the story doesn't end there. Because what happened next is the part one still think about. The day after the mat was gone, I sat down for our usual session. Brush in hand, treat at the ready. And Mochi walked over to me. Not because I called him. Not because I had food out yet. He just walked over, turned around, and sat with his back to me. He was presenting himself for grooming. I wish I'd had the camera rolling at that exact second, because the look on my face must have been something. This cat who used to hide behind the washing machine, was voluntarily, independently, initiating a grooming session. I didn't rush it. I kept everything the same. Same pace, same voice, same gentle pressure. But this time I went further than I had before. I worked over his back, down his sides, along the base of his tail. All the spots that had been off limits. And he just sat there. Occasionally he'd shift slightly to give me better access to a particular spot, which is something I still find almost absurd. He was guiding the session. At one point I moved to his paws. Traditionally the most sensitive area for most cats. The place that usually ends sessions in a hurry. I expected resistance. I got the opposite. He stretched his paw out toward me. Slightly, barely perceptibly, but he stretched it out. I clipped his nails that day for the first time in 8 months. Not all of them, just the front, and not all at once. But I clipped them, and when I set his paw down and looked at him, he slow blinked at me. If you know anything about cats, you know what a slow blink means. It means I trust you. It means I'm safe. It's the closest thing a cat has to a hug. I slow blinked back. I want to be honest with you about something, because I think it's important. This process took 6 weeks. 6 weeks of daily sessions that were sometimes 10 minutes and sometimes 30 seconds. There were days it felt like we weren't making progress. There was one afternoon where I accidentally caught a tiny knot too hard and Mochi startled and left, and didn't come back for the rest of the day. And I sat there feeling like I destroyed everything we'd built. We hadn't. He came back the next morning. But in that moment, it felt catastrophic. Patience in this process isn't a passive thing. It's not just waiting. It's active, deliberate, daily showing up even when the results aren't visible yet. It's trusting that the relationship is being built, even when the cat is walking away from you. That's the hard part. Not the mats, not the nail clippers, not the tools, the waiting, the not forcing, the letting him lead. Because here's what I believe now. After going through this with Mochi, cats don't hate grooming. They hate being controlled. They hate having choices taken from them. Give a cat agency in the process. Let them approach. Let them redirect. Let them walk away, and you will be stunned at what becomes possible. Mochi now jumps onto the grooming mat on his own. He has a specific spot on the bathroom counter where we do his sessions, and he just goes there. Sometimes I'm not even thinking about grooming, and I walk in to find him sitting on the mat, waiting, like he's made an appointment. His coat is the best it's ever been. No mats, no tangles, just this ridiculous, impossibly soft, perfectly maintained fur that strangers at the vet actually stop to comment on. His paws are clean, his nails are trimmed, his ears are clear. And beyond the physical stuff, he's calmer, more confident. He plays more. He seeks out contact more. I don't know if that's entirely the grooming, or just the cumulative effect of a stronger bond. But I think they're connected. I think being cared for, reliably and gently, and without force, changed something in him. It changed something in me too, honestly. There's a version of me from 2 years ago who thought grooming a cat was just a chore, a thing you either got done or didn't. I had no idea it could be this. This whole language between two creatures. This slow-built vocabulary of trust that you assemble one gentle session at a time. Mochi is asleep behind me right now. Belly up, completely sprawled, one paw over his face. The least defensive sleeping position a cat can take. That's not nothing. That's everything. If your cat currently hides from the brush, if your grooming sessions end in scratches and stress and mutual resentment, I want you to know it. Doesn't have to stay that way. Start smaller than you think you need to. Go slower than feels productive. Let them walk away. Come back tomorrow. Because one day, you'll sit down, and they'll walk over to you. And they'll turn around. And they'll wait. And you'll understand exactly what I mean.